Long ago, on a planet called Earth, a strange creation stood alone in a hidden laboratory, its body shining with a soft silver light, its eyes glowing faintly like stars. Humans called it a prototype, but no one understood its purpose. Instead of admiration, the world gave it laughter. People pointed and mocked it, saying it was useless, unnatural, and strange. Even the most brilliant minds shook their heads and left, leaving the prototype behind. The prototype, however, did not move. It did not speak. It only observed. It watched the humans come and go, their words sharp and cold like knives. Every laugh, every whisper of doubt, fell on it like a storm. Yet it remained, silent, patient, waiting. People did not see that the prototype was learning, watching, and growing in ways they could never imagine. Far above the city, in a tall palace made of silver and glass, the queen sat in her private chamber, her face pale, her eyes filled with sorrow. For her daughter had disappeared many years ago. No one knew where the little princess had gone, and despite all efforts, she remained missing. The queen mourned quietly, tears falling on the cold marble floor. No one else seemed to care. The people of Earth had too many other worries to notice her grief. The prototype, though mocked by humans, had a strange connection to the missing princess. He remembered her voice, her laughter, the gentle touch of her small hand on its metallic frame. It waited for something, a sign, a signal, a human who could reach it. The world outside thought it was nothing more than a machine, but inside, it held secrets that even the queen did not know. On the streets below, humans continued their daily lives, unaware of the silent miracle waiting in the laboratory. They argued over small matters. They rushed to work. They laughed at strange inventions. The prototype remained unseen, but it was not powerless. It had a mission, a purpose, a reason to exist beyond ridicule. The story of the queen's daughter and the forgotten prototype was about to intersect in ways no one could guess. Night after night, the prototype listened to the winds, the distant sounds of the city, the whispers of those who still believed in miracles. It remembered the princess, and it waited for a human voice, a voice full of courage and hope. One day, perhaps, that voice would come, and it would change everything. The queen, alone in her chamber, did not know it yet. But her daughter's fate was tied to the silent silver figure. The laboratory was quiet except for the hum of electricity and the soft glow of machines. Shadows moved across the walls, giving the impression that the prototype was alive, and in a sense, it was alive with purpose, alive with patience, alive with a hope humans could not understand. Those who had mocked it could not see it, could not feel it, could not imagine what it was capable of. For centuries, the prototype stood there, silent, waiting, watching, its memory filled with the laughter of a child it loved, its circuits echoing with the promise of a return. The queen's sorrow and the world's mockery were like two tides crashing against it, shaping it, strengthening it, preparing it for a day when it would no longer be laughed at. A day when it would show the humans that even the smallest, most forgotten creation could change the course of destiny. And so, the prototype waited. Alone, silent, yet full of secrets, its silver eyes glimmered in the dark, reflecting the faint hope of a child lost and the promise of a human who would one day come. To anyone who looked at it, it was just a machine. But to those who believed, it was the beginning of a story the universe would never forget. The Earth had changed over the centuries. Cities grew taller, machines became faster, and humans moved quickly through their lives. But most of them had forgotten the old secrets, the stories of what once had been, and the quiet laboratory that held the silver prototype. The prototype remained alone, hidden from the world, a forgotten guardian waiting for a sign. Even as humans lived busy lives, the queen continued her mourning, her palace silent except for the faint echo of her footsteps and the soft whisper of her prayers. She had tried everything to find her daughter, sending explorers, scientists, and even spies across the lands and beyond the stars. But the princess had vanished as if swallowed by the universe itself, and hope faded from the queen's eyes. The streets below were full of chatter and laughter, but it was shallow, fleeting, meaningless. People had no idea that the Earth's forgotten experiment waited in the shadows. Its eyes, glowing softly in the darkness, followed every movement, remembering every sound of the past. The prototype had patience, the kind of patience humans could never understand. It knew that time was not an enemy, but an ally. Strange things began to happen near the laboratory, though no one noticed them at first. Lights flickered at odd hours. Machines hummed without power. Shadows seemed to move on their own. The prototype watched, waiting, sensing something approaching, something it had waited for over centuries. Somewhere, far away, a human voice rose, above the noise of the city, calling to it in a way only it could understand. The Queen, unaware of these signs, sat by her window, staring at the night sky, her heart heavy with grief. Yet a small spark of hope lingered in her chest. She whispered her daughter's name into the wind, hoping somehow it would be heard, not knowing that her voice, carried by time and space, had reached the prototype, stirring it into silent action. In the laboratory, the prototype's sensors blinked. Circuits hummed softly, and for the first time in centuries, it moved, its silver limbs gliding across the floor with quiet precision. Its eyes focused on the faint trace of the human signal that had reached it. This human, ordinary as they seemed, held the key to the daughter's return. The prototype knew it must be ready, for soon everything would change. Outside, the city slept under the pale moonlight, unaware of the events unfolding in the shadows, but the prototype felt the world holding its breath. The balance of fate tipping slowly toward the moment that had been long awaited, the Queen's sorrow, the human's laughter, the forgotten laboratorial pieces of a story no one alive had seen. But the universe remembered, and then a sound broke the silence, a soft, human voice calling from the edge of the city, faint, yet full of courage. The prototype's silver eyes glimmered brighter, circuits alive with energy it had not shown before. It recognized the voice, felt its warmth, and responded in the only way it knew how, sending a silent message, a beacon of hope into the night. The Queen, still unaware, dreamed of her daughter's smile, a memory frozen in time, not knowing that, somewhere, far below, a human hero had begun a journey that would change everything. The prototype was no longer just a ridiculed machine. It was a guardian, a teacher, a bridge between a mother and her lost child. It waited for the human to arrive, ready to guide, to protect, and to reveal the truth. The city seemed quiet, but the world had shifted, almost imperceptibly. A forgotten experiment, mocked for centuries, was waking, preparing for a moment that would shake the hearts of humans and aliens alike. And somewhere, deep inside the prototype, a single thought repeated silently, over and over: the daughter must be found, and a human would bring her home. The city slept under the silver moon, its lights flickering softly, but far away, near the edge of the forgotten lands. A lone figure moved carefully, a human ordinary in appearance, yet determined in spirit, walked toward the place no one had dared to visit for centuries. The story spoke of a strange machine, a prototype laughed at by humans. But this human believed something different, something called to them, a voice hidden in time and space. The prototype sensed the human before they arrived, its silver body shining faintly in the darkness, circuits alive with purpose. It watched the human cautiously, analyzing every step, every heartbeat, every instinct inside it whispered, "This one is different." The human paused at the edge of the laboratory, fear mixed with wonder, unsure what to expect. Yet unable to turn back. Inside the laboratory, the air hummed with energy, old machines waking after centuries of silence. The prototype extended a slender arm, not in threat, but in recognition, its glowing eyes fixed on the human, scanning their soul, searching for courage, for honesty, for hope. The human stepped forward slowly, reaching out, as if answering a call they did not fully understand. Outside, the winds whispered the Queen's daughter's name, carrying it across the land. The human shivered, feeling a pull they could not explain, a deep connection to something lost long ago. The prototype understood this bond, felt it, and knew that the human's heart would guide them where machines and maps had failed. For centuries, it had waited for this moment, and now it had come. The human spoke softly, almost a whisper, their voice trembling, yet firm. "Are you waiting for me?" The prototype's sensors glimmered brighter, circuits humming in response. It had waited 1,000 years for this very voice, a bridge between humans and what the world had forgotten, a connection that would change everything. The journey ahead was dangerous, though neither the human nor the prototype knew the full extent. Beyond the city and the hidden laboratory, the forces moved that would not allow the daughter's return. Shadows stirred in the darkness, creatures of metal and flesh, watching, waiting, ready to stop anyone who tried to undo centuries of neglect. The prototype communicated silently with the human, showing paths, revealing dangers, guiding them step by step. Its mind and the human's heart worked together, forming a bond stronger than either had imagined. For the first time in centuries, the prototype moved freely, no longer mocked, no longer alone, its purpose alive. Shining brighter than the moon above, the human paused at a glowing console, seeing images of the queen and her daughter, frozen in time. Their heart ached at the sight, tears forming, yet courage pushed them forward. The prototype's presence reassured them, a silent promise. We will find her. Every step the human took, every small act of bravery, awakened the prototype's hidden power, preparing it for the trials ahead. Night deepened, and the city seemed still, but the forgotten laboratory pulsed with life. Energy built up in the silver machine, preparing for a journey that would reach beyond Earth itself. The human turned, meeting the prototype's glowing eyes, feeling a silent message, a whisper of hope. Together, we will bring her home. And so, the human entered fully into the world of the prototype, leaving behind fear, doubt, and the mockery of the past. A partnership formed, quiet but unbreakable. The queen's daughter, lost for centuries, was waiting, somewhere in the universe, and now, finally, a human had arrived to change everything. The journey beyond the laboratory was unlike anything the human had imagined. Shadows stretched across abandoned cities, winds carried strange sounds, and the ground trembled with faint echoes of forgotten machines. The human held a small device given by the prototype, guiding them to the lost princess. Every step was dangerous, every shadow could hide a threat, but they could not turn back. The prototype moved silently beside them, its silver form blending with the darkness, its senses scanning for danger, analyzing paths, and predicting threats that humans could not see. Together, they were more than a human and a machine. They were a team, united by purpose. Each moment heightened the suspense, for the world around them was watching, and not all watchers were friendly. Suddenly, a group of strange, metallic creatures appeared, their eyes glowing red, their movements swift and precise, blocking the path. The human froze for a heartbeat, fear tightening like a steel chain. But the prototype acted instantly, extending its limbs to protect the human, its glowing eyes pulsing, sending signals that disrupted the creature's systems, delaying them, giving the human a chance. The human ran forward, heart pounding, adrenaline mixing with determination. They followed the prototype's guidance through dark corridors, broken towers, and fields of strange, glowing plants. Every obstacle felt bigger than the last, yet they pressed on, driven by hope, by courage, by the thought of the queen and her lost daughter. Hours passed, or maybe minutes' time felt strange in the forgotten lands. At last, they reached a hidden chamber, sealed for centuries. The air was thick, heavy with silence, and a soft glow illuminated the room. There, lying in a crystalline cocoon, was the queen's daughter, asleep, untouched by time, yet fragile, waiting. The human approached slowly, unsure how to wake her, their hands trembling as they reached out. But before they could touch the cocoon, alarms blared, red lights flashing. The creatures from before had followed, stronger now, more determined, and they began to attack. The prototype moved to shield the human, its movements precise and deadly. Yet the human knew they had to act, or the princess would remain lost, forever. With courage burning in their chest, the human activated the device. Sending a signal through the room, the cocoon began to open, soft light spilling onto the walls. The queen's daughter stirred, her eyes opening slowly, confusion and fear crossing her face. But then she saw the human, and a spark of recognition lit her eyes. She reached out, and the prototype cleared the path, holding back the remaining threats. The battle was fierce, but the bond between the human and the prototype was stronger. Every move was coordinated, every step calculated, until finally, the last threat fell. Silence returning to the chamber, broken, but victorious. The human and the prototype stood before the cocoon, waiting as the princess stepped out, fragile, yet alive. For a moment, nothing happened but silence and the soft hum of the prototype's circuits. Then the princess ran into the human's arms, tears falling freely. The human held her tightly, feeling the weight of the journey, the danger, and the victory. The prototype watched, silent but proud, its purpose fulfilled. At last, The queen's daughter was safe, and the impossible journey had succeeded. But even in that moment of joy, a small warning lingered. A shadow in the distance hinted that the universe still held challenges, mysteries that waited for humans and machines alike. The rescue was complete, yet the story was far from over. And somewhere, in the queen's heart, hope began to bloom again, ready to face the unknown. The sun rose slowly over the quiet city, casting golden light across the tall buildings and the hidden laboratory that had held the prototype for centuries. The humans stood at the edge of the city, holding the queen's daughter close, her small hands gripping theirs tightly. The daughter's eyes sparkled with wonder and relief, for she had finally returned from the long silence that had swallowed her. The prototype watched silently, its silver body glinting in the sunlight. It had fulfilled its purpose, guiding the human and protecting the princess through danger and darkness. Humans had mocked it once, laughed at it, and ignored it. But now, it had proven its worth, showing that even the smallest, most forgotten creation could change the fate of the universe. News of the return spread quickly, reaching the palace where the queen waited, her heart heavy with grief, yet secretly clinging to hope. When she heard the news, her breath caught, and tears filled her eyes. The queen ran through the halls, past guards and servants, past empty rooms that had felt colder than ice, until finally, she reached the garden, where the human stood with her daughter. "Mother," the princess whispered, her voice trembling but full of life. The queen fell to her knees, embracing her daughter tightly. Feeling the warmth she had longed for across endless years, tears fell freely as mother and daughter reunited, and the world seemed to pause, holding its breath for this moment of pure joy. The human stepped back slightly, allowing the queen and her daughter their embrace, yet the princess turned and smiled, a silent thank you in her eyes. The human nodded, feeling a deep pride, not in themselves, but in the bond they had formed with the prototype, and in the courage that had led them here. The prototype glowed, softly, silent, but full of satisfaction, its purpose complete, yet still watching, protecting, and waiting. The queen looked around, her eyes settling on the silver figure that had made this miracle possible. "You," she whispered, awe and gratitude in her voice. The prototype lowered its head slightly, a gesture of acknowledgement, a silent promise that it would continue to serve, continue to protect, and continue to guide humans toward what they thought was impossible. For a moment, the city seemed alive with a quiet magic, a feeling that humanity could do more than they had ever imagined. That courage, hope, and the bond between humans and machines could overcome even the darkest of times. The queen held her daughter's hand, looking at the human and then at the prototype, feeling the truth that humans were capable of bravery, love, and miracles beyond measure. And though the adventure was over, the world was not the same. The prototype and the human had shown that, even in a universe that mocked and forgot, the smallest spark of hope could grow into a light bright enough to guide the lost. The queen and her daughter returned to the palace, their hearts full, yet mindful, of the universe's mysteries. For there were still adventures to come, shadows to face, and worlds to explore. The human and the prototype stayed behind for a moment, looking at the city below, ready to continue their journey, teaching, protecting, and reminding the universe that humans were special, that courage and kindness could move mountains, machines, and even time itself. And in that quiet moment, under the golden sunlight, the story of the ridiculed prototype, the lost princess, and the brave human reached its first ending, but its legend would echo across the stars forever.